Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of starting this assignment. Let's see, if you look at the assignment instructions on the second page, I give you steps to making a 1" by 1" square that are helpful to follow, because when you follow these steps, you end up with a perfect 1" by 1" without anything hanging off the edges. And I would actually like you to work in a way that hangs objects off the edges, but in the end, we're going to crop it all neatly into a 1" by 1" square using Pathfinder. So, to start, just like it says on the first page, you're gonna save this as, you're gonna make a document, 8.5 by 11 document. You could do 7 by 9 document, but I'm gonna make it 8.5 by 11 and center and have a block of boxes that I'm gonna center, and just make this for print. Even though you're not gonna turn in a print, just use the print preset. So you're gonna go File, New, or Command N, or Create New, and go to the print preset. So potentially you could print this, put it up on your wall. Choose letter size and name it your last name followed by your first initial dash. This would be called dash proj1 dash bw. And then next week we're going to do a save as and make a color version too. So this is your first project, project 1 dash BW. Whoops. And if I like to put it in inches for this. If you don't have it in inches, just remember 1 inch. If you're doing it in points, 1 inch is 72 points. So you do a 72 point by 72 point box. This can be portrait or landscape, and then just accept all the rest of the default settings and click create. And then I'm going to go through the steps on this next page. So the steps. So first you're going to go up to view and show grid, put show grid on, and also make sure that you check snap to grid. So 2 things under view. So you go to view and choose show grid, and view again and check snap to grid. And then you are going to take your rectangle tool and just make a perfect 1" by 1". So don't bother dragging out 1" by 1". Just click, and then you can put 1 by 1 and say okay. And this is going to be your background box. And then since it's on snap to grid, you can use your arrow keys to snap it into place right against the grid lines. I'm going to zoom in with Command plus and just tap it into place so that it's, because when you move it by dragging, it's possible to move it off the grid lines. Sometimes weird stuff like that happens, but using the arrow keys ensures that you're snapping it right into place in a very specific location, lined up to grid lines, which is important when it comes time to crop. So it'll make it easier to put a box on the top of everything like a sandwich, and use that top box, which I call the cookie cutter box in the instructions, to crop off any objects that will be hanging off the sides, off the edges. You don't want...
Professor, sorry for interruption.
Oh, no worries.
Recording the...
Yes. Yes,
oh,
this is
thank
me.
you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so as soon as you put your box, get your background box in place, and if you want to do an informal composition, then you'll want to go to view and take it off snap to grid, because you'll notice if I go and I try to draw out a shape when I'm on snap to grid, let's say I want to draw out a circle, and I hold shift to draw a circle and I drag, then I'm constrained to scale the circle out to the grid lines. I can't go in between. And that limits me in the fluidity of my design. I'm just limited to also to the movement, to snapping just within grid lines most of the time. And I want more fluidity now if I'm going to be doing an informal design. If you like that constraint, you can leave it. But I choose to go to View and uncheck Snap to Grid now. So now I have much more fluidity. I have many more choices I can make in how I scale an object, where I place an object. And also I like it with Snap to Grid off because see these pink lines that appear? These are the smart guides. They help me to line things up. So now I'm lining the center of my circle up to the corner of the square. That just, the smart guides were there to help me. And smart guides appear when you're not on Snap to Grid because my smart guides are checked on. I want to also think about my background box, what color I want it to be. Do I want it to have a stroke? If you like that checkerboard look, you might want to have a stroke. Maybe I want my box to be black. I'll swap it with no stroke. So I'll click none. Or you can double click on your background shape here. Or sorry, your fill to choose your own color. And you can choose any shade of gray. You can choose white, any shade of gray. Try to choose color just along this edge. Notice this edge, like it doesn't matter what color you're on here in the hue slider. Just make sure that you're not choosing a color out here with your circle. Make sure you're just moving up and down along the grayscale edge of the color selector. So you can choose gray, black, maybe I'll choose a dark gray. And say, okay.
Professor?
Uh-huh.
Can I just mention something?
Yeah, sure.
When you choose a certain gray, it can be warm or it can be cool. So if anyone does want to use gray, just be consistent in the color that it's on, because then you'll have warm and cool grays, unless that's what you're going for.
It could, yeah, you could choose warm or cool grays, but I think as long as you are, even if you have it here in the warm area, I think as long as you are adjusting the circle purely along this edge, I think that it's all very neutral, and I'm not sure if I would define any of these as warm unless I go out here, and then, or if I'm over here, then yeah, you could say this is getting warm here because it's kind of mixed with the red. Or if I go to the blue, then I'm got it cool. But we're not dealing with color yet. We're actually over here. It's purely grayscale, so it shouldn't have warmth or coolness. It should be it should actually be purely neutral. So so that's a dark gray, and then we have a circle here. But that's good you're thinking about that now, because we're going to be talking all about color and warm colors and cool colors and color schemes for next week. So I've got this circle. I purposely lined up the center right on the corner of the box. And what I like to do as part of my design work is I like to do lots of stackings of things. So I like to select the circle, for example, copy it. So it's just same as word processing, copy, Command-C on a Mac, Control-C on Windows, copy, using the keyboard shortcuts better. And then I like to, instead of just pasting anywhere with the Command-V or Control-V, I like to use paste in front or paste in back and just finish watching the lesson later if you can't stay for the whole thing. Okay, so getting back on track here, I'm going to give you guys a 10-minute break for those of you who want to just stay and watch it through tonight. In just a few minutes at 7:45, we'll take 10 minutes. But I just want to talk about stacking. Is going to be is a nice method. So you select the object, copy it. I'm on a Mac, so Command C to copy, and then I like to do paste in front using the shortcut Command F, or paste in back using the shortcut Command B. On Windows, it would be Control F or Control B. And it's easy to remember shortcuts. So Command F to paste in front, and then I can hold down Shift to constrain. If I want to scale it and I just hold Shift, that'll constrain the proportions, but it's going to scale it off center. If I want to scale it from the center so it doesn't move off center, then I need to hold down another key besides Shift. I need to hold down. Anyone know what key I need to hold down to scale from the center? I'm going to undo that. I need to hold down Option. So Option allows me to Option will anchor the object at its center, and Shift constrains the proportion so that I can scale a circle like that. Then I could do something different with it, maybe make the stroke thicker. So I can go into Properties, make the stroke thicker, maybe change the color of the stroke. You can also use in your swatches. These are the grayscale swatches that are just easy to work with, like change the color of the circle there, or if I bring the stroke to the front, then I can change the color of the stroke. And then I can copy this circle, Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front, and hold Shift and Option and scale that down. Maybe swap fill and stroke and change the color of the stroke, or turn off the stroke. I don't always need to have a stroke. Maybe do something different here, like make it a bright white. And maybe I decide, I want to have something behind this circle, so I can copy it, Command C, paste, and Command B to paste behind. And then I can change the color, make it a dark gray. And then I've got, so it looks like, if you look in the layers, let me make my layers bigger, large or larger than large, like 70 pixels large. So when you use paste in front or paste behind, it's going to look like nothing happened, but something actually did happen. I pasted a circle in the back, and now I just changed the color to a dark gray, and the circle is hiding behind the circle on top, and the circle in the back is the one that's selected. So now when I scale it, holding Shift and Option, then it's going to come out from behind, and I can kind of create an interesting circular pattern there. Maybe make one more. So I'm going to copy this one, Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front, scale this one down with Shift and Option, and maybe make it like a black circle, and maybe do a gray stroke. Maybe I'll make the stroke go to the outside, so I can click from my properties. I can click here on stroke and then choose align stroke to outside to be different. Maybe change the weight of the stroke, thicker or thinner. And then got something interesting going on in that corner. Okay, and I better save this because I don't think I saved it yet. So File, Save. And I'll save it to my folder for this class. Okay, so I'm starting this design, and I want to make sure I have interesting things to build, or larger themes to build out of the corners. So it's good to hang stuff out of the corners, off the edges of corners, off the edges of sides. don't feel constrained like that you're gonna keep your design within your 1 inch by 1 inch, because you're gonna splice everything off the edges, and it's gonna be more interesting if you hang your imagery off the sides. Maybe I want to do one more thing. I'm gonna just take one of these circles and do another Command C to copy, Command B to paste in back, and the one in the back the one in the back is now the one that's selected when I do that, and then I'm gonna hold Shift and Option and scale this one out bigger. Maybe I'll make this one be swapped fill and stroke, and maybe make I'll make the stroke thinner, and I'm gonna use a tool that's hiding under the width tool, or maybe I'll use the width tool first to make it more interesting. I'll use the width tool to alter the width of the stroke. So I'll do that, zooming in, then I'll just hover over the path and click and drag out to change the width wider on one edge, and then click and drag inwards to thin the width on another edge. Then underneath the width tool, because I've got my advanced toolbar displayed, when you click and hold on the width tool, you'll have all these other tools like the warp tool, but I want to try using the scallop or the crystallize. Maybe the scallop. Right now my tool is the tool tip for that is a perfect circle. I want it to stay a perfect circle, so when I scale it, I'm gonna hold Shift. Scaling these tools, you hold Option to change the shape of the tool tip and the scale. But I'm gonna hold Option and Shift together and scale the tool for the scallop tool to be just a little bit bigger than the shape that I want to change. And the shape that I want to change is selected, so it's going to the tool is only going to affect the shape that's selected. I'm going to hover over that selected shape and center on its center. So I put the crosshairs over its center, and then I'm going to click. Ooh, look at that. That's fun. And actually, maybe I want to scale that a little bigger, so I go back to my selection tool and I'm going to hold Shift and Option just to scale that up a little bit. I like that. I'll go with that. Okay, so then I'm going to move on to some other corner here. And maybe I want to I'm going to go to my polygon tool and draw out a polygon. I'm going to hold Shift and draw it out straight up and down. And maybe I'll just swap that to be a white fill and a black stroke. And remember, with the polygon, you can change the number of sides with the diamond by dragging up or down. And then you can turn a polygon into a flower using an effect. Did I show you guys this already? You can go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and then choose Pucker and Bloat. And then you can bloat the flower to make a flower this way, or you can make a sparkle and go the other way. I think it looks better without the stroke, so I'll say okay there, and I'll take off the stroke and put it here.
Hi, Professor. Where did you get Pucker and Bloat?
So that was under Effect and Distort and Transform. You hover over that and then Pucker and Bloat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe I'll put the stroke back on, but do something different with it, like thin it out. I can also, from the stroke panel, which I can get to by clicking on stroke from the appearance section of properties, I can round the joints and then it looks a little cuter. And then I can line this up on the corner of this box, and I can copy that, Command C that, and paste in back, Command B that, and scale the paste in back, and maybe make the stroke thicker. See what it looks like with a thicker stroke. Or, maybe no stroke this time. And maybe I'll just make it a flower color gray. So I bring the fill to the front. I can use my swatches here. Use like a medium gray. And do kind of a stacking like that. Well, maybe the stroke would be better. Let's see, stroke. With stroke or without stroke? Let's see. That's the question. I'll go with that. And then I could select these two by shift clicking and option drag out, and then maybe do like a variation on that. Maybe without the stroke. So I click, yeah, I kind of like it without the stroke. Should I go with the stroke or without the stroke? Yeah, actually, I think I like it better without the stroke. So I'll just turn off the stroke. And then maybe do another one. So I'll select this one here, copy it, Command C, Command F to paste in front, and then Shift and Option to scale down and make it like a darker color. And then I'm going to select all these three and group them, Command G to group, and then I can scale down to create. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this out and change the size to create interesting variation, and I want to maybe rotate this, and I want to look at the shapes that are in the negative space, created in the negative space, make sure those are interesting and flowing nicely, and then maybe I want to do, let's see, something else in the corner here, like I'm going to take my rectangle tool and I'm going to hold down shift and draw out a rectangle, and then maybe I want to round, let's see, maybe I want to round the corners, maybe just two of the corners I want to round. So I'll take my direct selection tool, click on one corner and release, and hold shift and click and release the other corner knobs here, and then I can drag them in together and create an interesting kind of rounded edge to this square, so it kind of looks like a leaf. And then I could think about how I might position that, like maybe will that be cool? Yeah, that could work. And I could do another stacking of these. So I could copy, Command C and Command F to paste in front, and scale it down with holding Shift and Option, and do something different with that. Maybe do another one, Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front, and scale that one down, and then make that one a lighter color. So I've got some interesting stuff going on in the corners here. And then let's see, what can I put in this corner? Maybe let me see my shapes here. Put a star. Oh, I could do polygon. and make a sparkle. So with the same effect, I can go to Effect, Distort, Transform, and Pucker and Bloat. And this time, instead of bloating to make the flower, I'll pucker to make more like of a sparkle. I could keep going, make a star shape like that, or just go to somewhere like here, say okay, and I can scale it out bigger, and if I wanted to edit the effect, I could always edit the effect. Where do I go to edit an effect? You guys remember? If I want to change the pucker and bloat, I go to, it's a panel that starts with A, appearance, right? Under window, you can get it in alphabetical order, or you could use just the appearance section of the properties panel, and you can see there's pucker and bloat. I can click there and then adjust my effect differently. So maybe I want it to be more like that and say okay. And then maybe I'll center this on this corner here, and maybe rotate it around a little bit, kind of looking at the shape that this is creating here on either side here. Okay, that's kind of interesting.